Hello, everybody. Good morning. Happy Monday. It's not a happy Monday for me. As you can see, I'm dressed in black because I'm in mourning. So it's going to be a long show for me. I'm Ashley Nicole Moss, and this is not Brandon Marshall. Brandon Marshall did not change his look overnight. We got Brandon Flowers in the building holding it down. What's up, B-Flow? I haven't seen you in forever.
I know, it's been a minute.
It was like a little reunion when we walked in here. You look fly, like you're fit.
I appreciate it. I knew you was going to be fly. I was trying to keep up with you. You know how I go.
Brandon wears to the show, his little purple sweatshirt. Listen, we got a lot to dive into. It was a crazy, crazy weekend for football. Yesterday was crazy as well, from 1 o'clock games all the way to Sunday night football, which we'll dive into later. Listen, we're going to kick things off, though, because Jonathan Taylor just got paid. After months of animosity, Jonathan Taylor and the Indianapolis Colts have waved the white flag. Now, over the weekend, the running back and the Colts agreed on a 3-year, $42 million contract extension, including $26.5 million guaranteed. This deal makes Taylor one of the league's highest paid running backs. Now, Taylor becomes the first running back to land a long-term deal worth $10 million or more since Nick Chubb in 2021. That was almost 800 days ago. I mean, first and foremost, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very tumultuous for months. Jonathan Taylor wanted out. The Colts weren't going to pay him. We heard Jim Irsay say, you know, if I die tomorrow, no one's going to miss us. This is good for Jonathan Taylor.
And he deserved his bread. You know, it's always this tension when players, especially running backs in general, trying to get their money. But Jonathan Taylor, the heartbeat of this team, right? Mm-hmm. And the way AR-15 been getting banged up now, their head coach, Shane, who was in Philly last year, he loves to run the ball. Mm-hmm. That's his weapon. Jonathan Taylor's going to be his weapon. He's going to keep AR-15 upright, you know, and this is the little boost that the Colts needed with their offense. They're going to keep their defense off the field because they're going to be moving the chains. He can catch the ball out the backfield. He does everything for this offense, you know. And they have like I said, they have a great offensive coordinator, play caller, head coach in Shane, where it's like he needs his pieces to show everybody on the team what he can do.
It's interesting, too, because it felt like for a long time that this relationship was beyond repair. Some people say money solves everything. But, I mean, in terms of what was said from the front office, you know, management, ownership, Jonathan Taylor not feeling appreciated, willing to sit out, and he, you know, that was a standoff. Do you feel like this, you know, has now gone full circle and bygones can be bygones and everyone can go ahead and just put it in the past?
Yeah, everything can be good. This happens all the time, right? But usually the teams and the owners tell the agents these things. Usually they don't get to the meter. That's why we have agents. It's not that we can't do contracts, because essentially we tell the agents, we doing this deal or we not doing this deal. But every little bad thing that the owners and the head coach want to say about you to say why you're not worth this money, that's what we don't want to hear. And that's what we pay the agents to do necessarily, right? So this just got to the media. We know these things be said about us. When he get back on that football field, that's what we get to exhale, and that's what we can breathe. So once he get his first carry, he get in the locker room with those guys, and that's what you miss the most.
Right.
I mean, he wanted to get back in this locker room just as bad as the Colts wanted him to get in this uniform to win games. So once he put on that helmet and take the field, it's going to be all good.
Well, listen, he was out for 4 games on the PUP list, physically unable to perform. So Jonathan Taylor made his return yesterday, and we have the video of him walking into the stadium looking cheery and happy. We can go ahead. There he is.
Back at it.
They got their guy back. He looks happy to be back. So, you know, all well that bees well. I think that's the saying. But speaking of the Colts, listen, quarterback Anthony Richardson is not having a good time. He walked into the locker room with an apparent discomfort to his right arm during the second quarter of the Colts matchup against the Titans. Now, while x-rays for the quarterback were negative, that is good, he did undergo an MRI for his shoulder, and the initial belief is that it is a sprained AC joint. So, I mean, Anthony Richardson just got a concussion protocol. He's been having a tough time, especially with, JT out of the lineup. Now that JT's back, your QB's hurt. I mean, what are we feeling about this situation? He's been having a tough season.
Yeah.
It's only 5 weeks in, and he's having a tough time, man.
I think you have to rest him for a week or two just so he can calm down. As a rookie, everything is already going 100 miles per hour, right? But then when you suffer injuries like concussions, I had 7 of them. You worried about getting hit on that next play, right? So you don't want him worried about the pass rush. I had an AC sprain. You can't lift up your shoulder. Anybody that touches it, hits it, it's going to hurt. They're going to try to wrap it up. It's going to be uncomfortable. So instead of your rookie quarterback going out there feeling like I'm already beat up coming into the game and just worried about the pass rush and now his rhythm and his mechanics thrown off, just sit him for 2 weeks. Let him see that he can hand the ball off to Taylor 3 times in a row and let him get the first down and just let him analyze. This is a time where he can learn. The division, the Jacksonville Jaguars might run away a little bit, but hey, I don't think the Colts is in Super Bowl contention this year, right?
Well, listen, the Colts right now are sitting at 3-2. They're second in the AFC South right now. The Jaguars are leading that division with, well, actually, I think the Jaguars and the Colts are tied. They're both sitting at 3-2. So, it's not like anyone really expected them to take this division. They're in a pretty good standing considering Anthony Richardson has not had the easiest season so far and also considering JT's been out of the lineup. So it will be interesting to see what they do with him. But, it's been a tough 5 weeks.
You can't have him banged up all year. Let him get healthy, then just let him come back. Just let him be fresh,
All right, guys, listen. I am seeing the chat. I know you want me to talk about the Cowboys. It is coming. Can I warm up to that first? We just started the show 5 minutes ago. Give me a second. I promise you, we are going to get to the Dallas Cowboys. Take a deep breath. Have some grace, all right? I'm still mourning. It hasn't even been 24 hours. It hasn't even been 12 hours. Give me a break, all right? Everybody relax. We are going to get there. And Brandon Marshall, for those of you guys who are asking, he is in Denver working on a project and also probably consoling Russell Wilson, who we'll talk about a little bit later. That's his bromance right there. So we'll dive into all of that a little bit later into the show. But listen, speaking of, players on the move, Chase Claypool now in Miami. He's a Miami Dolphin. The Chicago Bears have traded wide receiver Chase Claypool to the Miami Dolphins. On Friday, the drama between the Bears and the wide receiver officially came to an end, with Claypool and a 2025 7th rounder going to Miami for a 2025 6th rounder going to Chicago. Now, head coach Mike McDaniel made it clear to the media that Claypool will be given a blank slate in Miami to make a good impression on his coaches and his teammates, saying he'll earn his place based on his actions. Listen to this.
Here's things, okay, and so I think it's very, very important that you let people tell you who they are, and I see better than I hear. You don't, there's so many things that can go on, certain circumstances, whether that, from my vantage point, I look at it like this: I'm not going to make myself wrong with something that I don't know by judging X, Y, or Z. We give you the opportunity to define who you are in the most honest, organic, real way possible. And that's open mind, clean slate, let's go, okay? And to me, that then we as an organization, myself as a coach, you don't have to play the end-all, be-all, no predictor. You can let people, that's the way it should be. They should be able to decide who they are and whatever that is. You hear stuff left and right. I've been in the league long enough to know that circumstances can be all sorts of different things. I don't downplay what he's gone through. He went through it. You give an opportunity and you allow someone to follow their dream, put the control in their own hands, and show teammates each and every day you know, what you're really about.
Well, listen, we'll dive into another clip from Mike McDaniel, another soundbite. But I mean, this is interesting. Chase Claypool was not having a good relationship with the Chicago Bears. We reported on this show several times that even going back as far to July, June, that, you know, they were unhappy with his effort in practices and training camp, and basically let him know several times, even going as early as middle of September, that if he doesn't show more effort, he could be shipped out, or he could be placed as a healthy inactive. That ended up not being the case, and they ended up trading him. He gets a fresh start in Miami. I mean, if you're a player that's coming from a tumultuous situation where there's been a lot of talk about your effort or lack thereof, and now you're in a new locker room, how hard is it to kind of change that narrative about yourself?
Well, Mike McDaniels did the best thing ever when he said he would get a clean slate. So when you come in hearing the coach say you're going to get a head coach saying you're going to get a clean slate, you just walk in ready to ball now, because the thing that's going to hang over your shoulder when you walk in is like, how my receiver coach going to treat me? Oh, coordinator, they going to wait for me to do one little thing and try to hang it over my head and say, yo, here he go again. But for the fact that he's coming with a clean slate, every player, we hate losing. Whenever you losing, that's when everything starts coming out, right? That's when they do start talking about your effort or how you take care of your body, or every little thing. You late the meetings, but when you winning, all that gets swept up under the rug. He's going into a franchise that's winning right now.
Right.
He has other great receivers around him like Tyreek Hill and such, where he's going to be like, yo, these guys will create one-on-one coverage for me. When I do get a chance to play that, I will get my touches. And Mike McDaniels loved Claypool because he's a big target. He can run. And
he's quick, too.
He's quick. Like Tyreek Hill, when Waddle is in the game, you can get in the ball in space, they can make you miss. But now, Mike McDaniels have a guy in the red zone. He can throw the fade ball, too. So this is just another weapon. I love how they keep surrounding Tua with weapons. And Tua go make a little push to be a little MVP.
Well, I remember Chase Claypool going up to Tua after the Dolphins and the Chicago Bears played each other, I believe, last season. And he, you know, looked very comfortable with him. They dapped each other up, talked to each other for a little bit. I wonder if Chase Claypool took a page out of the NBA book and just forced his way out of Chicago.
That's a new thing for athletes. But
you know what I mean? Like, did he just underperform in Chicago just so that they were forced to trade him? Because it's odd that it worked in his favor.
And
of all teams,
Dolphins.
you go to the Dolphins.
Yeah. But it sucks for the Bears because they're trying to rebuild over there. They just brought a new general manager in. And
it sucks for Justin Fields.
They just gave up a second round for him. I mean, that could have been another guy they could have used that could have been a core piece to their team. So now to give him away for practically nothing, I mean, that's one franchise that's starting to go down even more. And the Dolphins, man, the rich keep getting richer. And you in Miami. Who's not going to want to come to Miami? You winning.
No state tax.
Hey.
Keep a lot of your paycheck in your bank account. Listen, when asked why the Dolphins traded for Claypool in the first place, Mike McDaniel had this to say. He said, quote, "He's fast. It's cool." Listen.
Skill set besides size.
Mike McDaniel speak, and he said, look, he's cool, he's fast, I like that, we like that. I mean, Miami looks prime and ready to win this division, to go further than I think we've seen them go in many, many years. I mean, Buffalo, we'll dive into that a little bit later. Buffalo lost in a shocking way to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So it just seems like this is going to be a fight to the end between the Dolphins and the Bills to come out on top.
Most definitely. And man, McDaniels remind you of a kid. Like, he didn't give no long explanation on what he think about Claypool. It's like, he fast. It's cool. Like, I can't wait to use him. I mean, he's the type of coach, when Claypool does get in the game, he go feed him to make him feel like, yo, I want to be out here and I want to make plays. So I'm loving this. I can't wait to see how McDaniels is going to use him. And I'm telling you, the Dolphins are going to make that push to probably get a bye in this playoffs.
Listen, Chase Claypool, I don't know how you did it. I don't care how you did it. I'm just impressed that you did it.
You
Miami?
did it. You did it.
Chicago to Miami? You should teach a class, my man. Welcome to Miami. Viviendos a Miami. Well, listen, speaking of getting from one bad situation to going to a better one, Randy Gregory. The Broncos have traded veteran outside linebacker Randy Gregory to the San Francisco 49ers. Now, this is interesting because the Denver Broncos never formally released Gregory, making him eligible for a trade. The Broncos also traded a 2024 7th-round pick to the 49ers for a 2024 6th-round pick. The Broncos don't look so hot. We'll dive into that a little bit later. Randy Gregory only played 10 games for the Denver Broncos, $70 million contract, and now he's, sees himself on the 49ers, which 5-0 after beating my Dallas Cowboys, a team that's favored to go back to the Super Bowl. I mean, this is a good pickup for the 49ers. This is an even better situation for Randy Gregory.
Just right up John Lynch alley. All he does is build up that front seven, right? Just adding Gregory to Bosa and these guys up front, it takes a lot of pressure off Gregory too, because when he went to Denver, he was thought to be that guy. Like, you're going to have to be that Von Miller disruptor. We're paying you $70 million. Like, you got to get to the quarterback. We have Herbert in our division. We got Mahomes. Like, you better disrupt some stuff, right? So now he's getting out of that situation. Again, going to a place where they're winning, where they already have guys who's superstars on the D-line. He's going to do nothing but learn from Bosa. Bosa's going to push him on the field because players push players, right? When you see that guy over there getting sacks, you're going to be like, yeah, they go double team him, and I'm going to get my chance. You're almost like an afterthought now as being the guy that you game planning against and like, hey, we slide in protection to Gregory. So John Lynch got another guy up front that's going to stop the run, get a pass rush, be in that rotation. So.
Well, I mean, listen, Randy Gregory's 30 years old. He's had a very interesting tenure in the NFL so far. I remember when he was with my Dallas Cowboys, it was a interesting pick for us to go ahead and secure because of all his off-field activities, things like that. He ends up going to Denver. At the time, that looked like that was going to be a huge, win for him. Everybody thought Sean Payton, Russell Wilson. Obviously, Sean Payton ended up coming later, but Russell Wilson. And that didn't work out. They gave him the $70 million contract. He only played 10 games. Now he finds himself with the 49ers, like I said. Is he about to be 30 or 32? No, he's 30 years old. I just Googled that, 32. Y'all aging him in the chat. He's now with the 49ers, 5-0. This team's looking to go to the Super Bowl. They look prime and ready to go to the Super Bowl, back to the Super Bowl. Can Randy Gregory be an instrumental part of what the 49ers are building? He hasn't had the best of luck with availability or lack thereof. How are we going to go ahead or how is he going to go ahead and combat that with this time around?
1,000%, he's going to be an intricate piece for the 49ers because with the defensive line, they rotate all the time. It's not like a cornerback that's going to be on the field the whole game. He's liable to get injured and this and that. It's like they're going to have a rotation going in and out. And I guarantee you, what they do in San Francisco well is have those guys up front playing well. They got a motor, and I'm telling you, he's going to feed off them other D-line. He's going to feed off them other defensive linemen there, and I'm telling you, he's going to be a key piece to their Super Bowl run.
Well, listen, we're going to go ahead and keep an eye on that situation, and we'll be back talking about the 49ers a little bit later because they had a big game on Sunday night against a team from Dallas. Didn't go so well, but we're warming up to that. I gotta rev myself up to get ready to have that conversation. I'm not quite there yet. But listen, London Bridge is falling down, and so did the Bills. Fresh off their dominant 48-20 performance against the Miami Dolphins, the Buffalo Bills headed to London to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars, where they would shockingly lose 25-20. Now, Josh Allen went 27 for 40. 359 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Stephon Diggs, 121 yards, 1 touchdown. But speaking of Diggs, he was visibly upset by the outcome of this game, and he wasn't afraid to show it. Check this out.
Faster than he wanted to. Oftentimes we see pressure, we say, see pressure, attack pressure, throw it into where.
As we know, Stephon Diggs is not somebody who likes to lose. He's not someone who's afraid to show his emotions on the sideline when he is losing. We all remember the game against the Bengals, where you saw Stephon Diggs yelling at Josh Allen on the sideline after the Bills lost that one in home, that big snow game, and ultimately the Bills, go home and the Bengals advance. Now, Diggs is upset. Josh Allen looked a little bit fed up with him in that clip. Going into this season, there was a lot of talk about these two, especially coming off of that game where the last memory is Stephon Diggs yelling at Josh Allen on the sideline. Can these two go ahead and coexist? There was a lot of talk also about Stephon Diggs being unhappy and wanting out of Buffalo, whether it was directly, indirectly, whether it was allegedly, whether it was confirmed. There was just a lot. Is this another chip on that belt of can Diggs and Josh Allen coexist? Will they go ahead and make this situation, this partnership work, or do they have to be broken up at some point?
I don't think they got to be broken up. Diggs just played with a lot of passion. A lot of receivers in the league has this passion, and they get into heated exchanges with their quarterbacks, but it doesn't get captured on the sideline. I mean, next game, Diggs will catch 3 touchdowns. They're going to be laughing. They're going to be holding. They're going to be hugging. And, I mean, they didn't go out there and lose against the Giants. The Jaguars is a good football team. So if I'm a Bills fan, I'm not too concerned. If I'm a Bills fan thinking about Josh Allen and Diggs, are they going to fall out? No, because he's just a passionate player. He's going to do this 5 more times before the season over with.
But doing that, I mean, listen, you're going to lose games throughout an NFL season. Like, it's very rare to have a perfect season. So we saw him kind of do this in Minnesota. He was losing. They were losing, rather. Let me say it like that. It wasn't a him thing. It was a team thing. He grew frustrated with Kirk Cousins. He grew frustrated with a lot of the schemes that he wasn't getting the touches that he wanted, or he wasn't getting the passes that he wanted. He ended up forcing his way out of that situation. He finds himself in Buffalo. The Bills have not performed the way that I think a lot of people have anticipated they were going to perform. They haven't been to a Super Bowl. This seemed like a team that at one point was going through the growing pains, and they promised Josh Allen, look, stay with us. We're going to figure this out. We're going to build this team up from scratch. They did that. They looked phenomenal. For some way, shape, or form, they always fall short. Now, Stephon Diggs has, rightfully so, has grown frustrated with that situation and the lack thereof progress to where this team is supposed to be. How much longer do you think his window for the Buffalo Bills to perform to the status, to the level that everyone anticipates that they're going to, what's that window looking like? I feel like it closes every time they don't win.
But we put too much on the Bills. Like, we expect them to be Super Bowl contenders when they're not a great football team. They're just a good football team. After that year that they played Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, we solidified them. Like, yo, they was going back and forth. Like, they going to be here every year, but that's not who the Bills are. They're a team that's going to get to the playoffs every year. And Josh Allen can have one of those games where he throw 3 picks, or the defense can give up 3 touchdowns.
So you don't think that this is a team that should have made a Super Bowl appearance by now?
Nah.
No.
Especially not with the Kansas City Chiefs being who they are. Before this year, Cincinnati Bengals being who they are, a consistently good football team. I think this is a streaky team. Now, they can go into the playoffs and get hot, and nobody can stop their offense, and then now they're getting turnovers on the defense side of the ball, but I think they're a little bit overrated. I don't think they're there yet to be a Super Bowl contender. No, they are not that team.
When you say overrated, in what way?
As Super Bowl contenders. I think the Miami Dolphins are more of a Super Bowl contender than the Buffalo Bills right now.
But that's saying a lot, because I feel like the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills kind of have, in terms of timeline, gone through their rebuilding timeline. It's pretty much the same. Like, I don't feel like one's drastically further than the other in terms of where they started to how they've rebuilt. Now, I will say that offensively, Miami has a lot more weapons, but I would say in terms of rebuilding, they kind of started at the same point. So for Miami to be drastically further than them in terms of when you're talking Super Bowl, if I'm Stephon Diggs, I'm pissed. We started at the race at the same time, and now you're here.
I'm not saying they're drastically better, though. Who do you trust more in the playoffs? Miami or Buffalo? I don't think Tua will go turn the ball over in the playoffs. I think any game, I don't care if it's a wild card game. I think Josh Allen can go out there and throw 3 picks and they can lose. That's what I feel about this Buffalo Bills.
Yes, but are we also discounting the fact that they've been there before multiple times? Yes, they have fallen short, but are you discounting experience as a whole?
I just don't trust. I don't trust Josh Allen.
So Josh Allen is the problem.
That's my thing. That's my thing.
So
I
you
can
trust Tua more than Josh Allen?
I trust Tua more than Josh Allen, and I see why Diggs is upset. It's just like, yo, like we can't continue because he see the writing on the wall. Like we got a good football team, but we can't continuously lose games we're supposed to win.
Well, that brings me back to my question. So you have two teams in the same division that started their rebuilding era roughly around the same time. Now, you just said Dolphins are Super Bowl contenders. If you had to go ahead and compare the two teams, one is a Super Bowl contender and one is overrated.
Yeah.
If I'm Stephon Diggs, that just pissed me off because, like I said, we started the race at the same time. So what the hell am I doing here? If we're not a Super Bowl contender 3-4 years into our rebuild, why the hell am I here?
Because all right, Stephon Diggs is getting a little older now. He's getting up there in age, but
He's still top 3?
But what other team can you go to that's going to have a quarterback? Even though I say Josh Allen is consistent and a little overrated, what other quarterback can you go to that's going to feed you the rock, that's going to pay you the money that you want, and put you in a position to be a Super Bowl contender? It's not too many out there.
This is true.
So you got to just stay with what you got. The grass ain't always greener.
Don't you also believe that certain players can completely go ahead and change the offense for a team? Like, for example, we're going to get to the Cowboys. I know everyone's patiently waiting for that topic. It is coming. Stephon Diggs on the offense of the Dallas Cowboys drastically makes a difference. Now you have a wide receiver tandem of CeeDee Lamb and Stephon Diggs. I think that makes the Dallas Cowboys drastically better, offensively speaking. Defensively, they're already great. Now, last night wasn't the best showing of that, but if we're going to go ahead and call a spade, last night games aside, that's a really good defense. Dan Quinn has worked numbers with them. I just think that the 49ers just are a lot better than us. But you don't think Stephon Diggs makes the Dallas Cowboys offense better?
He would make them better because he's a good receiver. And he probably would want to play there because his brother's on that team. But if I'm Stephon Diggs, I'm not trying to leave Josh Allen and go play with Dak Prescott. Like, that's just not a quarterback situation that I would want to go to. One is going to air the ball out. He going to give you a chance. That's why he throws so many picks. Like, I want to air the ball out. I'm going to give y'all a chance. Like, I'm going to feed y'all. Dak is like so methodical where it's like, hey, I'm going here, and I'm going here. It's what like the offense kind of, or what the defense gives him. That's how he makes his decisions. Diggs will be so much more frustrated in Dallas than he is in Buffalo.
I'm frustrated in Dallas, so I get it. Well, listen, speaking of the Bills, one of the NFL's best linebackers, Matt Milano, suffered a fractured leg and is feared to have suffered a season-ending injury, knee injury, in yesterday's loss, per Ian Rappaport. This is huge. This is a big deal. He's likely missing the rest of the season. The Bills just take another hit to their team as a whole. I mean, what does this mean for the Buffalo Bills? This is a big deal, one of the best at his position.
Yeah, he was their heartbeat, right? Yeah. Every time they needed a play, he seemed to be the one that's going to make a play. And being in the locker room when your leader leaves, like you look for somebody else to step up, you know, and be that guy. And a lot of times it's not that person. You know, a guy can try to be a rah-rah guy, but you be like, yo, I'm missing my dog. I'm missing Milano. We know who's supposed to be here.
Right.
And when the game on the line, you give him that look. Make a play for us. And he does. So with him being out, they lost Edmonds to the Bears last year.
I believe they also lost Trey White to an Achilles.
Yep, he's on IR. So this is a complimentary league. It's not basketball where you can just go hoop and outscore somebody.
Nah, chill. Right? Complimentary basketball does exist. We've had that conversation on this show. Don't turn into Brandon Marshall. Dip doesn't matter. It 100% does.
Nah, but not like football. If the Buffalo Bills keep losing key core pieces on their defense, you can see them not being able to stop nobody, giving up 7 in the red zone, and that's going to force Josh Allen to be even more aggressive on the offensive end. So that's when the whole team starts to switch.
And the more he has to pass, the more the probability for interceptions goes up. Good news, though, they did get Von Miller back. He was available in limited capacity against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's a big turnaround for them. He was also on the physically unable to perform list. He suffered a what was it that he suffered last season? Was it a tear or something like that? He's been dealing with an injury from last season that has been lingering into this season, but he is now officially back. That's good news. Von Miller is a piece that you want, especially starting to go into October football, November football, December football. He's definitely going to go ahead and help, especially with all the other holes that have the other players that have fallen and all the holes that have been created. So we're going to keep our eyes on the Buffalo Bills. But in good news, in Houston, we got to go ahead and give a round of applause to CJ because he just made rookie history. CJ Stroud just broke Dak Prescott's all-time rookie record, 177 pass attempts without an interception to begin his career. Tom Brady is number 3 on that list. Listen, Houston got themselves a star.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
0 interceptions, that's big for a rookie quarterback because now he's not going over there overthinking like, yo, my head coach keep yelling at me about turning the ball over, the defense getting pissed at me. It's just like, yo, I'm going to go out here and play.
Yeah.
And once you start getting in a groove, it becomes a creature of habit, right? Like, he's not thinking about making mistakes. They not going to happen. Now, we probably just jinxed him. Everybody jinxed him, and he might go and throw a pick.
He already broke the record, so it doesn't matter at
so
this
he
point.
can go ahead and turn the ball over next game. But they're doing it right. DeMeco Ryans got these guys. They go play defense over there in Houston. They go run the ball. They're not turning the ball over. So they slowly building. They like you said, their division is close. Their whole division
For
is
sure.
close. So
yeah.
they doing their thing.
And the Von Miller injury was a torn ACL that he suffered last year during the Thanksgiving game that the Buffalo Bills played in, and it took him out for the remainder of the season. It's been lingering up until this season, so it's a good thing that they go ahead and have him back. But going back to CJ, Rookie of the Year?
They love to give it to quarterbacks.
They usually do. It's a quarterback
possible.
award. I don't even know why we just don't call it quarterback Rookie of the Year. Yeah.
But I can just see Zay Flowers and Baltimore start to get busy. Like, you see little spurts of him, like, doing a little If Lamar can get him, like, the ball more, or the Ravens can get him the ball more, I can see him exploding, taking them to win a division. And for the fact that they can win a division under him as a rookie, I think Zay Flowers can make a push.
We shall see. You know how much they love giving that award to rookies. We know. I know because my dad even won it once upon a time. Those are the days. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit of XFL football because if you guys remember, Colin Kaepernick wrote a letter to the New York Jets. It went viral, actually, after his friend rapper J. Cole shared it to social media with Kaepernick's permission. And he reached out to the Jets saying that if they need somebody to go ahead and fill their quarterback void and help with their quarterback situation, he is their guy. Now, fast forward a few weeks later, and the Jets have yet to reach out to the former 49er. But now, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has revealed that he met with Kaepernick and his agents regarding the XFL. Now, Johnson, who owns the XFL with his ex-wife, Dani Garcia, said he met with Kaepernick and his agents, and while it was, quote, a good meeting looking to create opportunity for him being Kaepernick, he doesn't think that it will happen. Now, Kaepernick has in the past expressed disinterest in joining the XFL. Kaepernick in the past, has expressed disinterest in joining the XFL due to his high salary demands. So what the XFL is paying is not what Kaepernick thinks he is deserved. So, all right. We have this conversation a lot on this show, I feel like we've had this Kaepernick conversation a few times. Now, we all read the letter that he wrote to the Jets. It was beautifully written. He did say that he wasn't even looking to be the team's backup, that he was going to work with the practice squad to get them ready for defenses. Now, some people will say that the NFL is not calling. The next best thing would be the XFL, the USFL, just to get the tape out there, just to show people this is what I can still do. And maybe that changes the minds of some NFL owners, some NFL franchises, like, oh, he's still a liable or a reliable asset to our team. He doesn't want to go ahead and do that. What are your thoughts on that?
I feel him. I mean, Cap.
Really?
He was a mega star, right?
7 years ago. It's been 7 years.
Doesn't
Brandon.
matter.
It's been
doesn't
7
matter.
years.
It's not his fault he been out the league.
I'm not saying it is. No. I'm
So-
not saying it is, but it's been 7 years.
So mentally, he's thinking, I'm still the Cap that took my team to the Super Bowl, and I can take another team to the Super Bowl still. It's like last time I was on the field.
It's been over 7 years since he took a team to the Super Bowl.
I understand what you're saying, but when you're an athlete and you just have that belief in yourself, like you got to have that anyway. So his thing is, when I touch the field, I'm going to do me, right? And
Okay.
I feel him by not wanting to go to the XFL. It's just almost like you're asking NBA star to go to the G League. And
Some
it's just,
do.
They do.
Or they
do.
go overseas.
I just think he feels like it's not going to be worth it. If NFL teams don't even want to bring me in now to go in a practice squad, I'm not going to go here, perform, and I'm still not getting that shot.
Well, let me play devil's advocate here because I like Kaepernick. This is not against him at all. But my whole thing is like, if you want an opportunity in a specific league, in this league we're talking about, it's the NFL, and no NFL team is calling. It's not like they haven't been calling for 3 months, 6 months, where you're like, okay, let's wait it out. It's been 7 years, okay? If you are so sure that you can still play, that you can be a backup quarterback, hell, that you could be a starting quarterback in this league, even though you've been removed from the game for 7 years. See his number? 7 years. Why do you not take an opportunity? If it's not about the money, let's make this very clear. He got a settlement from the NFL, so he got money in that regard. He has production deals. He has his own TV show or movie. He had a great deal with Nike. I think he still does. So it's not a money thing for him. This is basically like, I don't have any current tape. Why not just play for not even a full season? Play for a couple of games. Let the tape be out there. Let it go viral, and let people say, "Oh, Cap can still play." Like, why? What's wrong? I'm confused on what's wrong with that.
Do you really think, Ash, if he throw for 500 yards a game, an NFL team will still bring him in?
No, but yeah.
Hey,
Hold on, no. Wait, let me rephrase that. I think it's more of a possibility that they do than without that. And I also think it's more of a possibility. Let's say he goes out in an XFL game and throws for 500 yards, right? I know it's a crazy number, but let's just go ahead and say that it is 500 yards. Mm-hmm. Not only would teams be looking at that, but you know what social media would do with those clips? You know what the Jets fans would be doing on his behalf? They'd be writing letters to the Jets organization like, yo, sign this man. He's better than Zach Wilson could ever be. All I'm saying is that he is still holding on to the Kaepernick that's behind us. And as good as that Kaepernick was, that's so far in the back, in the back mirror, that we don't even know if that version is who this version is. And there's no way of us knowing unless we see him play.
I love Cap. I love everything Cap did. But no matter what he does in the XFL, a team isn't going to bring him in because they don't want the distraction. If he throw 400 yards, 500 yards, and social media get like wind of it, that's even more distraction. Where teams gonna be like, yo, we don't want nobody to pressure us to bring him in now.
It can't be any more of a distraction than Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce.
And then now, okay, he goes to the Jets, and it's like, all right, now he done threw for 1,000 yards in 2 games, right, in the XFL. He with the Jets. Now, soon as Wilson throw a pick, oh, we want Cap in, we want this. It's just too much. They don't want the outside noise to influence them to have to make a decision. It's a distraction that come with them. That's how they feel. Now, I don't agree with it, but you're talking about general managers, owners, those guys upstairs who don't want any outside noise at all.
I feel like that always happens, though. Last night's game, they were calling for Trey Lance to go ahead and appear in the game. Like, it always happens when you have a backup quarterback that has some relationship to the team that you're either playing or has some sort of storyline. Like, when Cooper Rush was balling out and Dak Prescott was able to come back, oh, is Cooper Rush the new starting quarterback? They knew that Cooper Rush wasn't the starting quarterback. It's a good storyline. All I'm simply saying is that if Kaepernick is so 100% sure that he is still this guy behind us, all I am saying is that you cannot bank on the fact of us remembering who you were 7 years ago. On top of that, the workouts that he's had, where's the footage? Have you seen it?
No,
I haven't seen it. So exactly if I am an NFL owner, what am I supposed to gauge your abilities on? Your film from 2016?
Bring him in for a workout. Bring him in for a workout because with Cap is risk reward too. Let's just say he goes to the XFL.
Yeah.
His O-line terrible. Receivers can't catch. They ain't getting separation. Now it's like, yo, Cap ain't doing that in the XFL. Like, yeah, that 7 years has passed. Like you talking like his film ain't that good. Like, this is the Cap we thought he was going to be. So, nah, we definitely not bringing him in. But if he just doesn't put any tape out there and he kill a workout, he actually might have a shot. So I think it's even risk reward also.
I just think at some point he also, I feel like, and Brandon made this point on this show, and at first I kind of was like, and then I sat on it and I thought about it. I feel like a lot of people have been telling Kaepernick's story for him. You have J. Cole releasing the letter. You have interviews, he did an interview here at I Am Athlete, and a lot of it was chopped down. It was a 90-minute conversation, and only 15 minutes of that, I think, was able to be released. If I want to hear from him, I can still play. I can play, and this is how I'm going to show y'all I can play. I'm not even asking him to play a full season in the XFL. I don't even think he would have to play a full season in the XFL. I think one game he balls out, I think the whole narrative changes. I just feel like you cannot put all your eggs in a 7-year-old basket.
Okay.
And that's why I feel like if this were a basketball player who used to be a baller in the NBA, and it's been 7 years since he's touched a basketball, or that we've seen him touch a basketball in a competitive space. We're not talking about practice. I'm not talking about him going out with some high school kids and throwing the ball. It's been 7 years since I have seen you in a competitive space, since I have seen a defense coming at your head and what you do. That is drastically different than throwing a ball around with a couple high school kids in a field.
He should at least get a practice squad. Like, get a workout, and putting him on practice squad ain't nothing. Like, practice squad quarterbacks in the NFL, like, if you don't know, they are not that good. So they can't be as worse as Cap. That's how I feel. Do you think if Andrew Luck wanted to come back, a team would at least try to put him on the practice squad? 100%, I feel. Practice squad?
Andrew Luck hasn't been out of the league for 7 years, though.
You don't even have to.
Andrew Luck has not been out of the league for 7 years, is my point.
It's been like 4.
If Andrew Luck has out of the league 7 years, probably not. But Andrew Luck hasn't been out of the league that long. You still remember what Andrew Luck could do. It's been. Do you realize what was it? 2016 was 7 years ago. Do you realize what was going on in the world in 2016? The world's drastically different. It's not even that we don't even have the same technology. All I'm saying, Cap, is like if you want to play, just
go put
show
in the
us
sweat
something.
equity.
I don't know. Just show us something. I don't know. But listen, speaking of the Jets may need answers to their quarterback situation, or their quarterback problem, rather. But Cam Newton is not it. Because while appearing on RG3's podcast, RG3 and the Ones, Newton revealed that the Jets actually called him about signing with them. Yes, they called Cam Newton about signing with them. But the math was not mathing for the Panthers, the former Panthers QB. He said, quote, "You're not about to sit up here and penny pinch me. I'm not going to sign no $5.5 million deal, bro." Listen to this.
I still believe, Cam, that you can play. So if the Jets called you right now, what's your answer?
Going back to control, you're not about to sit up there and penny pinch me, bro. I'm not about to sit up there and sign no $5.5 million deal, bro. Those days are over with. I'll be wasting my time. Because I will tell you, if you don't think that I could be on a roster right now, I could, but it's bigger than that to me. Am I in shape right now? Hell yeah. In any situation, I'm going to sit up there and I'm going to analyze it as much as possible. I don't want to walk into a dysfunctional situation. Have you guys made Zach Wilson aware? Also, Aaron Rodgers is trying to come back this year. Let's also talk about that. So when he comes back, or is it just going to be something that you just say, hey, watch out? So it's a lot of things that I don't just make impulse decisions.
Points were made. Points.
I agree with that 1,000%.
Were made. I'm not mad at it. Listen, $5.5 million when you actually do the taxes, and New York State taxes at that, it's 2.5 roughly. But even putting the money aside, because Cam's made a lot of money in his career, so it's not a money situation. Just at least it's not solely a money situation. The quarterback situation is the biggest question mark. I mean, this is Aaron Rodgers' team, even though he went down. Zach Wilson, don't know what's going on there. Some weeks you like him, some weeks you don't like him. But Cam's 100% right about this. Like, I'm walking into a situation. Does Zach Wilson know I'm coming? And when Aaron Rodgers comes back, what are you gonna do with me? Listen. Points were made.
And you talking about a former MVP. like when he get out there and let's just say he perform, like can this be my team moving forward? And just like you mentioned, he said, am I just gonna get bumped out of the way when Aaron Rodgers come back? And then he thinking, like you said, $2.5 million coming in, going to meetings every day. New York media is tough. Do I want to deal with this New York media? Are me and Zach Wilson going to be going back and forth? Is it going to be some quarterback controversy? Are y'all going to give it to me? Like, how is all this going to play out? Because even mentally, I don't want to deal with all this that y'all going to have, like, with bringing me in. Like, let me know what it's going to be. Let Zach know what it's going to be. I ball out. Let's just say we make the playoffs. Our defense playing ball. Like, why can't I have the right to go and move forward with this team? He's won games. He's played in the Super Bowl. He doesn't look at himself like a scrub because he's not a scrub. So I feel him 1,000% on every point he hit on. He don't need that. If he comes back, he needs an opportunity to play. I know he said he will be a backup if he.
Which is a change from where he was a few years ago.
Yeah, but it have to be a backup to a quality quarterback. You know, like a Mahomes backup or a Burrow backup or something like that.
Well, I mean, it is interesting, too, because some people will make the argument, well, look at like a Brock Purdy who's making under $1 million and has a roommate. He roommates with one of his teammates because San Francisco is very expensive. He's making around $800,000. And he's on a fantastic team. Looks like they're prime and ready to go to the Super Bowl. And some will say that, look at that situation. Cam, love you, but you're no longer that Cam Newton. So who are you to say that $5 million is not enough money? What's your pushback to that?
Nah, it don't matter. When you're a Heisman Trophy winner, top NFL draft pick, NFL MVP, like, you deserve to, like, think your itch don't stink. Like, right? Like, he's done and he's accomplished so much in the league that Brock Purdy, hasn't accomplished yet. Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant. Like, everything that he's doing right now is just, he's on a high. Like, yo, I'm glad to even get a chance to start in the league.
Right.
Cam walking in like, yo, I'm a starter from day one. If I'm not, it's a problem. So you talking about apples and oranges right here when it just comes to even self-evaluation. Now, give Purdy another year under his belt. Now he go start feeling like, yo, I want to be the highest paid. These are my stats. This is what I bring to this team.
Right.
You're not going to find another me that fits this franchise and this offense. Like, give Purdy another year. He gonna start feeling himself.
I mean, realistically, though, $5 million for Cam Newton.
That's almost like rookie minimum.
No. What I'm saying is like, playing devil's advocate here, where does he think he's going to get more?
Backup quarterbacks are getting what? Maybe close to 10? Tyrod Taylor is around that.
We've seen Cam in backup situations. You know,
we've seen him in New England. Who's playing ball in New England right now?
How'd he look in New England?
I mean,
we saw him in Carolina. How'd he look in Carolina?
I feel like you got to surround him with weapons. He's not going to be the MVP Cam.
Right. So, to that point, he's not Carolina MVP Cam, right? You see him in New England, and let's be honest, doesn't look great. He had that one game, I'm back, and it just went downhill from there quickly. So I'm trying to understand where the value, I hear the Heisman, I hear the MVP, I hear Super Bowl 50 appearance, I hear all that. That's then. What about now? Who are you now? Now, Cam Newton, is he a $10 million quarterback?
That's no money for quarterbacks, though. Like $10 million, $12 million for quarterbacks, that's no money. That's like backup money. And he feeling like, you called me, I ain't call you. I didn't ask my agent to knock down your door for you to give me a deal. Like, you called me. So evidently you want me to come in and make some plays for your franchise. Otherwise, yo, you could have just passed on and called somebody else.
This is true. Don't come for me unless I send for you. I'm just saying, I think that a lot of the times quarterbacks, players in general, tend to hold on to the peak version of themselves
100%.
Instead of the version of themselves that they might be now. Andrew just sent me something here. Listen, Sam Darnold makes $7.5 million. And these are all backup quarterbacks, Andrew? Yeah. These are the salaries for backup quarterbacks, okay? So, I don't know. Cam Newton might be a little bit off here. All right?
But Sam Darnold still ain't doing what Cam did.
Sam Darnold, $7.5 million. Mitchell Trubisky, $7.1 million. Jimmy Garoppolo, $7 million. Teddy Bridgewater, $6.5 million. Casey Keenum, $6 million. Tyrod Taylor is $5.5 million, which is the exact same amount they offered Cam Newton. You still want to stand by your statement?
Yes, because he had an accolade. Personally, I understand where he's coming from. Like, yo, I'm Cam. I'm not playing for that. Like, I did too much in this league to play for that. And if they told Cam, you go come in and you go be the starter from day one, he might. But like how you said, like, did y'all even tell Zach Wilson about this? Like,
okay,
what's going on? Like, I don't want to deal with that drama.
Let's say it's the Miami Dolphins.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he going.
$5.5 million.
He's
going? Okay, so it's not the money. It's
it ain't the money. It's the situation.
Got it.
Mentally, like, he don't got to deal with that. He got bread. Like, mentally, I'm not dealing with that. Miami called him tomorrow and Tua go down. He coming for $5 million.
Okay, so it's not the money.
It's not the money.
It's the team.
It's everything.
No. Is it the money or is it the team?
It's everything in the box. It's the media. It's the situation. Like how you said, he don't want to go to a dysfunctional situation. Like, mentally, you don't want to deal with that. So it's everything in one.
But you just said if Miami came calling.
Miami ain't dysfunctional.
And it's $5.5 million, he's going to Miami. So it's not the money, it's the team.
A little bit of both.
They can't be both. It's one or the other.
It 100% could be both.
It's got to be one or the other. It's the money or it's the team.
I'm riding with both.
You can't ride with both because if the money goes out the window once the Dolphins come calling.
It's a situation. It's the team.
Okay,
it's
for sure.
Team.
That I can agree with. It's definitely the team. All right, guys. Well, speaking of teams, the time has come that I know you guys have all been waiting for. So we're gonna shut up, Andrew. We're gonna. How did the Giants do last night? Thought so. Okay, thank you. Okay. Here we go, guys. All right, the Dallas Cowboys. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. All right. I'm sick. I can't do it. Okay, look. The Dallas Cowboys headed to San Francisco to take on the 49ers in what universally was considered their first real test to gauge just how good this team was. And well, they failed miserably. Dak Prescott, 14 for 24, 153 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Brock Purdy, on the other hand, 17 for 24, 253 yards, and 4 touchdowns. 4. Now, the Cowboys would fall to 3-2, while the 49ers would remain perfect for the season at 5-0, following the Philadelphia Eagles, who remain just the other unbeaten team in the NFL. Now, head coach Mike McCarthy had this to say, Mike McCarthy, a little stuffy, had this to say about the game. He said, quote, "It was clearly humbling, but it's just one game. Start with me. I didn't do a good job tonight. It clearly just shows where we are as a team. We're 3-2. We've got a lot of work to do." I'm going to let you take the floor on this first while I gather my thoughts.
For the Cowboys, right, the sky is not falling. Y'all just are who y'all are. And what I mean by that is the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott, if they're playing a team who opposing offense can't put pressure on Dallas offense, meaning if they can't score points, they can't put 7 on the board and make the Cowboys feel like, yo, we got to come back and get 7. Oh, man, we got to get 7 again. So the score won't, get all crazy. Like, they in control. Like, if the Cowboys up 10, they up 13, they can win the Super Bowl. They're Super Bowl contenders. But when the opposing offense put pressure on them to score, it's almost like McCarthy play calling get tight. Dak, he not letting the ball go downfield to CeeDee Lamb. He going check down after check down. It's like something mentally about the Cowboys and them as a team where it's like, if we got to score points and we feeling like we have to score now, they not the same Cowboys as when they in control. And right now, y'all struggling because the defense not playing well right now.
Well, the defense didn't have a good game last night. Now, I will say in the first few possessions of the game, remember there was two 3 and outs right off the bat.
And they got a turnover.
The defense didn't really have much of a break. The defense was trying to make do with situation. They had a couple of plays, but the thing is like your defense gets stops. It's up to the offense to convert those opportunities into points, which did not happen.
But the defense also went from being top of the league, like first with Diggs there, and when he got hurt, now they like 30th, right? So I know you hate to say it's a complimentary.
No way. I'm going to look that up. Keep going.
It's complimentary, right? This is where football is complimentary. The defense are trying to figure themselves out because when Diggs was there, him and Gilmore can lock up on the outsides. You can send pressure. You can send different looks. Your corner's going to cover. Like, they go do their thing. Now, without Diggs, like, back there, like, they're trying to figure it out. Like, what are we now? We just can't send pressure and lock up because we're not going to be able to match up on the outsides. So now they're trying to do different things and figure themselves out to see how they're going to be successful going forward. And while they're doing that, y'all got to put up 7. Y'all can't get to the red zone like y'all been doing all year, getting field goals, and then the defense scoring touchdowns, and then the score starts.
Well, listen, speaking of the defense, the Cowboys' defense is still top 5 in the NFL. So there's no excuse for the defense to not be doing what the defense is expected to do. Now, I will say, last night's loss, it's hard for me to put all of it on the defense because they did make stops.
Yeah.
They did go ahead and try to go ahead and make something out of nothing. Now, were they the same explosive defense that we have seen in other games? No. But can I put 100% of this loss on the defense? No, because even the gifts that the defense was giving the offense was not converting. Now, I don't know if Dan Quinn just did not have the gravitas, the tools to combat what, the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan were throwing his way. Maybe it was just this particular game, but that defense as a whole is still top 10 in the NFL.
Oh, for sure.
Still
They're
top
Super Bowl
10.
defense.
Offensively speaking, there's a serious problem in Dallas.
Only when y'all play a top-tier opposing offense.
But that's the thing. We can't go ahead and use, the Cowboys beat the Giants. Oh, the Cowboys beat the Jets. Oh, the Cowboys lost to the Arizona Cardinals, which is a team that they should have beaten. We can't use the gauge of how good the Cowboys are when they face teams that are below them. And I hate to say the word below because that goes ahead and makes it seem like, they're not all competitive, but let's call a spade a spade. There are teams that are below certain teams.
Yeah.
There are tiers. There's top tier, there's second tier, there's third tier. Just like there's tiers of quarterbacks, there's tiers of players. You can't use the Jets as your gauge. You can't use the Giants as your gauge. Those teams are not good football teams. If you are a team that is supposed to be the best, if you are a team that is supposed to be a Super Bowl contender, which the Cowboys are always in the Super Bowl conversation every single year, you cannot go ahead and be the best unless you beat the best, unless you compete with the best. Had the Cowboys lost this game and it came down to a field goal, it came down to the wire, people would be getting their jokes off, the Cowboys lose, but you could not say that this was not a good football team, that this was not one of the best football teams in the NFL. It came down to the wire. They got blown out. That means right now, at this moment in time, on October, what's today's date? October 9th, 2023, you are not as good as you think you are. Simple as that. You are not as good. Right now, on October 9th, you are not as good as you think you are.
Wise man and Herm Edwards always said, you're never as good as you think you are, and it's never as bad as you think it is. Those 3 turnovers that Dak Prescott, when he turned the ball over, Shanahan was getting points off of it. That's points that's starting to add up. If he just doesn't turn the ball over and he's still dinking and dunking, your defense will keep you in games. Defense just got tired. They was out there so much.
But you also have to score points.
Y'all had that problem all year, though. The Cowboys, in the red zone, they get to the red zone, they'll move the ball, and they'll kick field goals. Like, they're not a team.
You can't win on field goals, though. The game's not won. Super Bowls aren't won by field goals.
And that's why it concerned me when McCarthy said this was humbling. You should have been, your red zone offense needs to pick it up. Like, if this is humbling to you, this is going to happen to you 7 more times this season, because humbling should be you used to scoring touchdowns in the red zone, and all of a sudden they threw a wrinkle at you, and then now you didn't know what to do. Now that humbled you. Like, you haven't scored in the red zone on a consistent basis all year. So when you're playing a team that scores in the red zone, you should know this is going to happen to you. So going into this game, you should have felt, if we don't score touchdowns and you communicating this to your offense, it can get ugly. So I don't see how it's humbling. Like, I've seen the writing on the wall.
It should be humbling. It's humbling because they thought that they were better than they were. That's what I'm saying. It's humbling because you go into a season and everyone's saying Cowboys Super Bowl, Cowboys Super Bowl. And I know people will say, oh, we don't buy that. You know, we don't buy into that. You always buy into it. You're the Dallas Cowboys. You always buy into it. Teams sometimes drink their own Kool-Aid. It's not just a Cowboys thing. We all do it. All right? When you hear that you're a contender, when you hear that everybody, whether you want to admit it or not, is like drinks a little bit of the Kool-Aid and it gets to your head a little bit. You have a great game against the Jets. You have a blowout win against the Giants. You blow them out and you're riding high a little bit. Then you go ahead and you have the Arizona Cardinals. That is a little bit of a punch in the mouth.
You can't let that Cardinals game happen.
No, you can't let that Cardinals game happen. You go into that, you're 2-0, you're feeling yourself a little bit, you get punched in the mouth by a team you should have beaten. You come back week 4, you win. Week 5, now you have a real competitor in front of you. What do? And you folded. Now, luckily, it's a long season. This is only week 5. All right, it's 18 weeks in an NFL season. And a lot can happen in an NFL season. Guys get hurt on other teams. Teams go on losing streaks. I'm not saying that this is the end of the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not saying the season is a wash. I'm simply saying that this is the ultimate reality check. This was the Dallas Cowboys' biggest test so far this season. You got the Chargers coming up. You got the Rams coming up. You got a bye week, and then you got the Philadelphia Eagles. Who knows what the Eagles look like when you face them? We find out who the Dallas Cowboys are in these next 4 weeks.
Next week will let you know with the Chargers, because the Chargers, they're not that team that scares you so much, you know, because they're so efficient and so dominant, but they have the roster to be dominant, right? They almost like the Cowboys. You don't know which team is going to show up. So the Cowboys, you'll see what kind of backbone they got when they go in and play the Chargers this week. And again, I don't think this loss is as bad as everyone thinks it is. Because
in what way do you not think it's bad? They were blown out.
If you turn the ball over as many times as the Cowboys did against Andy Reid or Shanahan, like, this is what is going to happen. There's not too many teams. If you play the Dolphins, this might happen. It's not too many other teams. It's only 4 or 5 teams in the league that will run the score up on you like that. They just so happen to play the team that's going to do it. That's it.
The issue is, though, it may be team specific. But I think the greater conversation here are the lack of fundamentals from this team. Mike McCarthy, why are you not running the football? Why do you have Dak out there passing the ball so many times? Also, you get rid of Ezekiel Elliott because you think you have this tandem of Deuce Vaughn and Tony Pollard. They're supposed to be your 1-2 punch, right? Do you not trust them to run the football? Are they not dominant enough to run the football? If that's the case, then those were the wrong running backs to go ahead and give the money to. Here's the situation. Your game has always been running the football, and you even saw, although they could not convert in the red zone, the ball was moving downfield when you were running the football.
How many years have we been talking about this?
How many times do you have to see the formula of running the football work to know that you should run the football? The first 2 3-and-outs, they didn't run the football once.
We've been talking about this for years with the Cowboys, though. If you run the ball, you will win the game. Even when Zeke and everyone was there in the previous years, it's like when they get a certain amount of carries, doesn't matter how many yards they got. If they just get the carries, you go win the game. But for some reason, I mean, I guess because they're America's team, touchdowns through the air sell tickets, I guess, or views, they just want to let Dak air it out. But that's not who he is. Is run first,
they don't
let him get in
their
rhythm,
running backs. It's apparent.
Let him hit the top. Deuce Vaughn has to play better.
It's apparent that they don't trust their running backs, because I'm telling you right now, if this was prime Ezekiel Elliott, they would have been running him to death. What last night showed me was that you don't trust your running backs as much as the rest of us think that you do. You hyped up this 1-2 punch, and Tony Pollard is a hybrid running back. He can catch, he can run, he can do all these things, and that's why you let Ezekiel Elliott go. And yes, Ezekiel Elliott's no longer the prime Ezekiel Elliott that he was, but I'm a firm believer he's still a workhorse. If you need him on those short situations, I still think he can pound the hole. You didn't go ahead and bring him back because you were so high on Deuce Vaughn and Tony Pollard. You did not run the football as much as you should have, and what that tells me is that you do not trust those guys to do it.
But is that a roster issue or is that a coaching issue?
It's both. Because if you have 2 running backs on your team that you do not trust, to run the football in this kind of a game when you cannot solely rely on your passing game and you completely remove that from your playbook? I feel like I didn't see them run the ball at all the first quarter.
That's on the coaches, because when Dallas Cowboys run the ball,
that's my point.
Every game this season, they won't be stopped.
What that tells me, or what that makes me think, is Mike McCarthy, why was that not in your play calling? Why did you not have running the ball, which has been the Cowboys' identity for as long as I can remember?
Yeah.
Why did you completely remove that from your playbook until you saw that your quarterback continuously was under pressure and continuously going 3 and out? What that means to me is either A, your play calling sucks, which it does, Mike. Sorry. It's non-creative. It's predictable. It sucks. And also, it makes me believe that he does not trust his running backs to actually run the football, which is a problem because you cannot rely on Dak to pass the football every single game, every single play. It's not going to happen.
Again, it's a Cowboys problem because if they go down 10, they don't stick to the run, like you just mentioned.
Right.
They go and try to air it out.
Right.
So that's a coaching issue, and then that's just not what Dak does. Like, you don't want him throwing the ball 50 times a game, and you're forcing him to now. Now, if they're up 10, 13, they run the ball, throw screens, throw it to the tight end, might take one shot to CD deep, might take one shot to Gallup deep, then they go back to run the ball, and you be like, oh, like, they got a nice, well-balanced offense. It's like a well-oiled machine.
Right.
So it's just, if they go down, coaches can't panic and abandon the run. And if they do just start to pass the ball, Dak, it's time for you to just step up and just deliver at the end of the day.
I'm going to say this before we move on to Dak. The Cowboys let Kellen Moore go. And one of the reasons was the lack of creativity in the play calling, the lack of creativity in the play calling. It was the predictability in the play calling. It was him and Dak Prescott not necessarily being on the same page with the plays that he was calling, the type of quarterback that Dak Prescott currently is. Mike McCarthy is not doing any better of a job to me. So if I'm Jerry Jones, these next 3 games, I wasn't high on Mike McCarthy when he got here. Let's go ahead and make that very clear. It's not the coach that I wanted. Everybody knows I wanted Sean Payton. And I think that
would have been perfect.
And I think Sean Payton has a completely different experience in Dallas than he's having in Denver, but that's a different conversation.
100%.
Mike McCarthy, all eyes are on you. Because in the next 3 weeks, the next 4 weeks, including the bye, but 3 weeks when you're talking about actual games, depending on this record, if I'm Jerry Jones and this does not turn into more wins than losses, matter of fact, if I don't win every single one of these games, no.
You playing tough teams.
You got the Eagles.
You got
time out. You got the Eagles.
L.
Not necessarily. We match up well against the Eagles. That can go either way. Chargers, you should beat them. Rams, you should beat them. I'll go ahead and be generous. If you don't win 2 out of the 3, is that better? If Mike McCarthy does not win the next 2 out of the 3 games,
you can't fire him.
Pink slip.
The Chargers are a good football team.
Slip.
If Burrow get hot with Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, they can beat anybody.
No, because you know what we do? You know what Dallas is notorious for doing? Making excuses for coaches. You did it with Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett was mediocre. He should have been fired seasons ago, but every single season, it's an excuse. It's this. You fire everybody around him instead of the guy responsible for the entire organization from a field standpoint, and that was Jason Garrett. You allowed him to exist in mediocrity. You allowed him to waste pivotal years of Tony Romo's career. Why? Don't know. Because you were afraid to pull the trigger and go ahead and pink slip him. No idea why. Mike McCarthy is not getting the Jason Garrett treatment. Listen, Jared, you're not getting any younger. The Cowboys, this Cowboys team is not getting any younger.
We're not talking about...
Dak Prescott is not getting any younger. You got to make a decision. Mike McCarthy is not the coach for this football team. He's not.
You got to give him a couple more games to cook. Like, we're not
I gave him a season to cook. I gave him a whole season last season to cook. What happened to us?
Listen, this is not...
I don't understand why we have to... Why we got to repeat the same thing.
These next couple of games are not... They're not playing the Cardinals and the Giants if they lose to. Like, they're playing good football teams.
You lost to the Cardinals.
Yes, but
That's
I'm saying
this
is a tough stretch. These next 4 games, this is going to be a tough stretch. With the Eagles, the Rams, they beat the Patriots, and then you got the Chargers. Like, they can lose those 3 and he still be like, yo, it's cool. Y'all are not.
I don't
This plays
understand.
into y'all thinking y'all supposed to win the Super Bowl.
I
every
don't
year.
understand what you need to see. How many times somebody needs to disappoint you for you to realize that that's like being in a let's relationship analogy this. How many times does somebody need to cheat on you until you realize that they are a cheater and you should walk away from the relationship? Is it 2 times? Is it 3 times? Is it 5 times? Is it 25 times? You have a whole season with Mike McCarthy. You have a whole off season. You know how quick it was? Like this. You see him in the Cardinals game. You see him in the 49ers game. The lack of creativity in the play calling. The predictability in the play calling. I don't know what else you need to see and how much longer you need to see it for to maybe get the wheels turning that this may not be the guy that you need the long term.
But when have you guys had that guy that you feel like this can be our
We
guy?
haven't.
So
It
that's
wasn't
what I'm
Jason
saying.
Garrett. But what I'm saying is that a lot of other teams in the NFL are quick to get rid of their head coaches if they don't perform. The Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones specifically, has a hard time either admitting when he is wrong and holding on to a situation that by byproduct affects the whole team. You don't know what kind of coach you could have gotten if you let Jason Garrett go earlier than you did. Jason Garrett had shown you that he was average as a head coach, and you continue to live in mediocrity, and by byproduct, the team suffered. You don't know what the Dallas Cowboys could have been if you would have gotten a different head coach in that seat. You're going to make the same mistake with Mike McCarthy?
In a perfect world, who would you want to be y'all coach next year?
Sean Payton, but he's taken.
Yeah, he's taken. And if I'm Jerry, I'm looking out there like, what coach can I possibly bring in?
It should have been Sean Payton to begin with, but I digress.
I agree. He would have got
should
the
have
ball
been
out
Sean
of Dak's
Payton
hands quick. It would have been perfect.
But I
it didn't
digress. Listen, and speaking of Dak Prescott, he had this to say after the game. He said, quote, "I didn't see it coming. This might be the most humbling game I've ever been a part of." That's the humbling again. The humbling word yet again. I mean,
Listen, y'all are who y'all are. If y'all play an opposing team that have a great offense, prepare for these type of games. You only get 5 of them out the league. The Dallas Cowboys will still win 10 games this year. Y'all will still go to the playoffs. And it depends on y'all matchup, what y'all go do.
you can't keep going to the playoffs and losing. It doesn't count. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and this is hard for me to say because I used to go ahead and ride the playoff. Oh, well, we made the playoffs. You go to the playoffs and you lose, you would have been better off not going at all.
Not okay. So do you not feel like the Buffalo Bills wins? Did they not count because
the
they didn't
Buffalo
go
Bills have been to the conference to the conference championship
Dallas
game.
can get there. Dallas can get to the NFC
Dallas
Championship.
gets blown out the first round religiously. Or the wild card game religiously. You cannot keep going ahead and holding on to, oh, we made the wild card, we made the first round, and you lose. It doesn't count. It means nothing. Like, in the grand scheme of things, it means nothing. All it means is that you perform to underperform when it counts the most. Like, you can't keep riding that wave.
Or do you should you be honest with yourself and just say they're not a Super Bowl caliber team?
No,
they're just a good team.
Roster-wise, they are. So if
They
you
are.
look, if
They
you
are.
look
I
at,
give you that. I
if
give
you
you
look
that.
at
They
a
are.
team's roster,
They are.
and you say this is a Super Bowl roster, and that's not producing wins, 4 playoff wins since 2000, 4.
Yeah.
That's not producing wins where they count the most. The problem does not lie in the roster. The problem relies in what's responsible for developing and utilizing that roster, and that's everybody around them. I can't go, I know everybody likes to say, oh, it's Dak, it's Dak, it's Dak. Is Dak perfect? No. Did Dak have a shitty game last night? Yes. But do I blame Dak before I blame the head coach? No.
They got
I
their
don't.
hands tied because if you throw the ball, you feel like, all right, Dak might have too many turns. Let's just say, perfect world, you bring in Lincoln Riley.
Right.
A wizard, like he has quarterbacks playing
Right.
well, spread the ball around, but then you go in and saying, all right, Dak throwing the ball too much again. Will you say that again? Or would you be like, Lincoln Riley, change your whole offense and your ways to cater to Dak and run the ball?
If
Like-
you can't It's 50-50. I will say this. If you can't trust your quarterback to throw the football, he's not your quarterback. He's not the quarterback that you need.
Do you trust Dak to throw the ball 40 times a game?
It depends on the matchup.
That's not your quarterback. I'm sorry. It shouldn't depend on the matchup.
It depends on the matchup. You know what? Truthfully, unless you're Patrick Mahomes, I don't really want any quarterback throwing for. Like the more you pass, the higher the probability for interceptions goes up. That's just math. So like across the board, would I like my quarterback throwing that many times? No. Do I trust more quarterbacks doing it than others? Yes. Is Dak Prescott a quarterback I trust throwing the football 40 times? No, I don't. But that's not saying that he's not my quarterback, because I don't trust any quarterback throwing that many times.
Okay, this is how you decide your quarterback then. 2 minutes left in the game. Do you count on Dak Prescott against a good defense to drive down and put 7 on the board? Not 3, 7. It's taking you too long. It's not your quarterback.
I'm thinking.
It's not your quarterback.
Is Mike McCarthy my head coach?
It shouldn't matter.
It matters, because it matters. Schemes, plays, it matters. It matters. I'll circle back to that. Don't put me on the spot right now. Listen, we're gonna move on to the coach that should have been in Dallas, but he's in Denver, and he probably wishes that he wasn't, because apparently when it rains in Denver, it pours. During the team Sunday afternoon matchup against the New York Jets, the Broncos trailed by a field goal with just 40 seconds left on the clock. However, a Russell Wilson fumble on the Jets' 41-yard line would ultimately be recovered for a Jets TD and seal the game. Now, so Wilson was 19 of 26 for 199 yards and 1 interception. Now, this here is where things get interesting, because if you remember, Sean Payton said that Nathaniel Hackett did, quote, one of the worst coaching jobs in the history of the NFL last season with the Broncos. Well, the Broncos lost to Hackett, who got the ball from head coach Robert Saleh and fell to 1-4. Here's the video of that. Okay, we don't have the video of, but basically, head coach Robert Saleh handed the ball to Nathaniel Hackett, the game ball, in the Jets locker room, and revenge is a dish best served cold. So,
I love it. I love it. Nathaniel Hackett going to getting the win. I never really liked the hiring of Sean Payton to pair with Russell Wilson. When you're a veteran in the NFL, regardless what position, when you have your ways and how you operate, that's who you are. You can't come and change, especially a quarterback. Sean Payton offense is always get the ball out quick. You know your reads, you know your hot routes. They blitz. This is exactly where we're going with the ball. On 3-step drops, when that 3rd foot hit, the ball's out. Quick 5-step drop, when that back foot hit, the ball is out. That's how Drew Brees operated. That is what he's used to. Russell Wilson, he buys times with his legs, make one defender miss, scrambles, throw a moon ball to Baldwin when he was in Seattle, or Lockett. That's who he is. He's more like a Ben Roethlisberger, right?
Right.
Like, you just got to let them cook. Just give them the ball, let them run around, let the receivers ad-lib and convert their routes and, you know, make plays. Now they just clashing, because you see now this offense is designed to get the ball out quick. Russell is used to trying to make that one free guy miss, and it's pissing Sean Payton off, because he like, yo, you have a hot route. Throw the ball to the running back. I don't care if you want to go downfield and you see a receiver that Mike can uncover. Like, you're supposed to go here with the ball when you get this look from his defense. And Russ is not going to change. That just is not who he is. That's not what he's used to. And he's not going to change who he is. So these two are going to have a long, however many years it is, you know. I can see the Denver Broncos going into this draft and grabbing a quarterback first round to keep Sean Payton happy and not want to just say, yo, I'm going back to the booth.
I mean, this is frustrating because, you know, Sean Payton was supposed to be the savior for the Denver Broncos, and it has proven to be quite the opposite. I mean, the Broncos, dare I say, look worse than they did last year.
They do. It's tough. It's not all Russ's fault. Like, Russ is who he is, so you got to get him a coordinator or a coach that caters to what he does. It's like, if you don't, it's never going to work. I know Sean Payton won a lot of games, but when are NFL execs going to realize that you have to cater to the player assets and what he does well on the field as opposed to bringing in your system? Like, no, cater to Russ. Sean Payton, you won a lot of games. You're a Hall of Fame coach. I understand what you did with Drew Brees and getting the ball out quick. You either can't do that with Russ or you have to change quarterbacks.
Granted, it's not all Russell Wilson's fault.
Not.
We have to make this very clear. I mean, there's a lot of issues with
The
this
O-line
Broncos
ain't-
team. The
O-line
offensive
is
line is
terrible right
absolutely horrendous.
Yeah.
I mean, Russell Wilson's out there running for his life, which was exactly the frustration that he had towards the end of his tenure, in Seattle, was that they were not drafting the pieces he needed for protection so that he can go ahead and get a playoff. It seems like it's deja vu in Denver. I would be interested to see exactly or hear what those conversations are behind the scenes, because Russell Wilson has to be frustrated. He has to be like, this is not what I left Seattle for. This is not what you guys promised me Denver was going to look like. I mean, 1-4 is a really tough start to the NFL season, because let's go ahead and look up, some of the next few games for this team. I mean, you have the Packers. You have first and foremost, you have the Chiefs coming up. That's going to be tough. At Arrowhead at that. So that's going to be tough. You have the Packers. You have the Chiefs again. So it goes Chiefs, Packers, Chiefs, Bills. Those are the next 4 games for the Denver Broncos. I mean, there's a possibility that they could fall to, like, I don't want to say, let's see, you got 1-5, maybe you got 2-5, 2-7.
But this is where the frustration builds up even more for Sean Payton. It's like, Russ, we don't have the O-lineman. Like, we're not running routes to develop downfield. Like, please listen to me. Like, you go get killed. Let's get the ball out quick. We go throw screens. We'll get it to our tight ends. We're going to just move the ball quick. Like, just listen to me. So, and like you said, Russell hasn't been playing bad this year. It's just when they're winning, everybody points at the quarterback. If they're losing, you got to take that same blame. Everybody's pointing at the quarterback.
Right.
So we can't say it's not all him, because when they win it, you're going to be like Russ cooking. So you got to take it.
Quarterback takes the blame. Quarterback takes the glory. But, I mean, right now they're last in the AFC West. You got the Chiefs, Chargers, the Raiders, who are not having a good season, have a better record than the Denver Broncos right now. I mean, these next 4 games, we got to be honest, they would be lucky to be 2-7 when this is over.
At this point,
season's a wash?
Yeah, it's a wash. And you're just thinking, are we going O-lineman early in the draft, or are we going quarterback? Like, this is all you're assessing all year. Like, who can I plug and place? You're looking at free agency, who might be available, to see who we go plug and play, because, John Elway's not going to just sit back and let this whole thing just burn in the fire.
Right.
Denver has been having a franchise who's been winning, in the previous years. So they're going to get something done. I can really see them drafting a quarterback early, getting a couple of O-linemen that they don't mind overpaying in free agency, and just try to go that route.
Well, listen, from one struggling team to another, we're going to talk a little bit about the Patriots, because Mac Jones meets the bench again. The Patriots benched quarterback Mac Jones for a second straight week during the team's Sunday matchup against the New Orleans Saints. Jones had 2 interceptions. The Patriots would lose 34-0 and fall to 1-4. Now, when asked by reporters if Mac Jones was going to be the team's starter moving forward, head coach Bill Belichick said, quote, "Yeah, there are a lot of problems. Certainly it wasn't all him." Check this out. Oh, we don't have the video. We have this note here. Now, things get a little bit more interesting, because following New England's blowout loss, a source close to Mac Jones had this to say about the lack of offensive weapons surrounding the young quarterback this season. He said, quote, "No matter how good of a cook you are, you cannot make garbage taste good." It's giving very much, my husband can't throw the football and catch the football at the same time. Shout out to Giselle. Listen, the Patriots are going through some growing pains. I think even more frustrating than the Dallas Cowboys because this is an organization that for many years, all they did was win. All they knew was success. All they knew was Super Bowls. All they knew were championship parades. They are so far away from that. And I know a lot of people will go ahead and say, Bill Belichick, Bill Belichick, Bill Belichick, Bill Belichick. Now, Bill Belichick, the head coach, solidified. His legacy solidified. I don't care how bad of a season he's having this year. I don't care how bad of a season he had the previous year or the year after this. His legacy as a head coach is solidified. He was instrumental in molding the GOAT, Tom Brady, into what he is and will be remembered as. But Bill Belichick, the GM, has some explaining to do because this is not good.
Yeah, I never understood the methods of Bill Belichick, and I'm not even going to try to understand this now, right? Benching your quarterback and then starting him, then benching him again and say he's a star. Like, I don't understand why you benching him in the first place then. Like, if you look at Mac Jones,
Right.
even during the game, it's like he checked out. Like, yo, I'm over this. And
Right.
you never really see quarterbacks do that. You see receivers, you see defensive linemen, corners, but not your quarterback. How the quarterback, like how Mac Jones was talking about the old coordinator last year, was like,
Right.
throw the ball. Like, what are we doing? It just seems like they don't have a good roster. It's tough to say Bill Belichick lost the team, but this team is like literally
Hanging
over
on
there.
by a thread.
Yeah, they hanging on by a thread, and I honestly don't see what they can do this year to fix it.
Listen, first and foremost, thank you to everybody who's listening on Sirius XM Faction Talk 103. This is Paper Out. I'm Ashley Nicole Moss. We got Brandon Flowers here, and we're talking some Patriots football or lack thereof. I mean, you bring up a good point because I wonder what the benching and the starting and the benching and the starting is doing to an already probably damaged psyche of Mac Jones. I mean, this is a really crappy situation to be in, and I think back to Tua when he first got to Miami, and every time he would make a mistake, they would bench him and bring in Ryan Fitzpatrick. Then he would start, and then he'd make a mistake, and they bench him and bring in Ryan Fitzpatrick. And it has to be detrimental to the development of your quarterback. But I think the difference is Tua didn't have the weapons to really go ahead and showcase his talent as a quarterback. And while I think that is also the case in New England, I also think we need to come to the realization, and I say we, people who haven't gotten there yet, Mac Jones is not a starting quarterback. That's the difference here.
That's tough to say he's not a starting quarterback because he never had weapons. And when you see him at the University of Alabama
You don't even see glimmers
weapons,
of a starting quarterback, though. Like, with Tua, without the weapons, you saw glimmers of who he could be. You saw glimmers of that starting quarterback magic. Yes, he didn't have the success because he didn't have the weapons. But you saw in spurts, you were like, he needs X, Y, and Z, and that's what you'll get from it. And now you're seeing it. With Mac Jones, I don't see glimmers of a starting quarterback from him. I don't see it.
he had a defensive coordinator calling his plays last year. They threw the ball, 2 times in a whole game? It's just, I think his psyche is just all over the place right now. And Mac need a fresh start somewhere. Bill's going to hang on to him for a year or two to see if he can get a weapon or two. But now they're not even winning games, so veteran receivers don't want to go to New England to play. So now Bill Belichick, the GM, are going to have to start drafting well and hitting in the first round with these draft picks to come in here and produce early, because before he can miss. And Tom going to be like, yo, it don't matter. Like, just go draft old linemen and we go come do our thing when the season comes. Now, you need receivers to come in here and be explosive on the outside, or you go have to have old linemen that's coming in here that's being anchors to this offensive line.
Right.
And you have to be Bill Belichick, the GM, to win games.
So do you think that it's the system for Mac Jones, or it's the talent or lack thereof? Do you think he's a starting quarterback? You put him on a team like, say, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Is he a starting quarterback? Does he have a different experience in Pittsburgh than he's having in New England? Because I don't see
I think it'd be
glimmers
exactly
of
who Pickett is in
Matter of
Pittsburgh.
fact, I'll push back even more. I see more of starting quarterback glimmers in Zach Wilson than I do in Mac Jones. And I'm not high on Zach Wilson, so that's saying a lot.
But
I
Zach
don't
still
see
have
anything
weapons.
from him.
Like I see Mac Jones with 0 weapons. Like who can, except Hunter Henry, like who can he throw the ball to? And Gesicki, like he only has tight ends. I literally feel like he can't throw the ball anywhere. And his system alone, it's just he hasn't been in the same system for numerous years. I feel like he just can't get in. He can't get fluid. He can't get in the rhythm of things. It's just like, yo, I don't know. They got a lot going on in New England. I think he needs a coordinator who actually can bring out his best attributes as a quarterback. I don't know what they are because from his rookie year, we couldn't see, like you said.
I don't know what they are.
We haven't seen the flashes.
He's not very quick.
Yeah.
He's not fast. He doesn't seem to have he's not quick in speed. I don't see him as quick in terms of his reaction. He seems like slow. He's just slow. Like I guess maybe his size, his build. Like I can't name an attribute. Maybe his arm. Like
you got to. To me, you got to give him weapons though. Before you make that decision, you got to get him weapons.
We shall see.
This is your first rounder, so.
This is your first. We shall see. So we're gonna go ahead and keep our eyes open on Mac Jones. He will be starting next week, so we'll have plenty of film on him to dissect. I just don't think he has that dog in him. That's all. Some people have it, some people don't.
You got it or you don't. Huh?
I just don't think he has it, but we shall see. Listen, we're gonna switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit of college football. And Miami, take the knee. Like just take the knee. The Miami Hurricanes entered their Saturday matchup against the unranked Georgia Tech, ranked number 17 and undefeated. Let me say that again. They entered their Saturday matchup against Georgia Tech, who was unranked. They entered the game ranked 17 and undefeated. The team was looking to extend that record to 5-0 with less than 40 seconds left on the clock, and the lead that quickly became a strong possibility. Well, that was until head coach Mario Cristobal decided to run a play, hand the ball off to the running back instead of simply taking a knee. The running back would ultimately lose the ball. Georgia Tech scored 32 seconds later with just a second left on the clock, and that sealed the fate of the Miami Hurricanes. Look at this.
You should not be handing this football off. Right. I don't know what Miami is doing.
That's it. Here's Chaney, the straight ahead, tackled, and the ball popped out.
You got to read the clock. Read the card. To me,
Georgia Tech has it with 26 seconds left. 3 to the field for King. Up in the pocket, going to loop it down the field, and it is caught. And that's Rutherford. Here's King from the pocket. Flush to his right with 6. 5. Going to loop it downfield. And ball is caught. Touchdown, Georgia Tech. With 1 second to go in the ball game, Christian Leary.
Unbelievable. Now, Matt Lee, a Miami Hurricane, was seen mouthing on the sideline, "What the F are we doing?" Look at this.
Run back. So just go ahead and fail the try. Take a knee. Hear that, Wes?
I'm literally getting goosebumps thinking about the stupidity of this all. So Cristobal spoke to the media after the game and said, quote, "We should have taken the knee." Well, duh.
You think?
Thanks for that. Here's what he had to say.
For your patience, obviously disappointing. A lot of different aspects. Obviously, again, just fell short in so many different ways. Battled. There were some signs of life. Not having a great first half, but coming out second half doing some things and falling behind and getting up again. And then at the end of the game, a chance to put her away. And she just took time out right there, recalibrate, and just take it. And so gave them a chance, and they took advantage of it and scored. So that simple. Questions, please.
And to make matters worse, he did this at Oregon. The same situation. Ran a play when he should have taken a knee. What the hell? This is like basic football. Like, this is like Madden. This is Pee-wee football. You take the knee. You have the lead. Like, what are you doing? You hand the ball off? For what reason? It's insanity.
And I love Mario Cristobal, right? I think he's a good coach, but it's like you got the U back. You got Miami starting to believe
Undefeated
like
into
we the
this
team.
game.
And everybody, listen, we live in South Florida. Everybody is like 3 weeks. We're going to be undefeated. We're going to play Florida State. Like, we both going to be in the top 10. That's all everybody was thinking and wishing and waiting to happen. But when it's just so easy of a decision. It's not like, do you kick the field goal or go for it on 4th and 1? It's like, no. It's so simple. Just take the knee and we leaving. So my thing is, if they end up dropping these next 2 out of 3 games to Clemson and North Carolina, a lot of people will be calling for Mario Cristobal's job because
I was calling for his job after that game.
He has done such a great job getting his team to where they are now. This is the only reason I don't think he should have to pay with his job, even if they drop these 2 games. But these are kids that's in college, right? It's going to be hard to pick these guys up who is in tears and getting them ready for 2 tough opponents coming up in these next 2 out of 3 weeks.
Coming up.
UNC, and you have Clemson before you go to Florida State. So instead of being in the top 10 and you winning and you building up on that high, now you can drop the next 2-3 games out of 4 games and now not even be ranked at the end of the season.
40 seconds away from being 5-0, 3rd down, and you run a play.
What makes it worse is the analyst was telling him in time, like, what are you doing?
No, the analyst was all of us, like, he should not be running a play right now. But what makes it even worse was 2 things. I get it, college, quarterbacks maybe aren't comfortable audibling out, things like that. If that was the NFL, it would have been like, I'm not doing that. But what makes it even worse for me is, like, you have an entire sideline of other coaches. Nobody said to him, bro, like, why are we running a play?
He needs to deliver an explanation. I still want to know explanation.
Where are your people? Like, you have yes men on your coaching staff. Why did nobody say we don't need to run a play here? Take the knee. Like, why are you letting this man run the madhouse? Like, what are you doing? What was the reason? What was the rationale? Where was somebody to say no?
I don't even know an explanation that can fit what he did, saying like, no, we want to grind it out. We want it to be tough. It's like, it's nothing you can give.
His answer was, we should have taken the knee. That's not smart football.
Nah, that ain't good enough. You need to go in depth and in detail on like, why didn't you though?
That was his answer. We should have ran the football. That's not smart football.
Yeah, it's going to be tough getting this players
We should have taken the knee, rather. Sorry, we should have taken the knee. That's not smart football.
I hate this for the Hurricanes.
What's the? And I know people will say, well, the running back shouldn't have fumbled. No, you don't put your running back in a situation to fumble the football.
Exactly.
You take it out of their hands completely. You don't need the play. You have the lead. You're winning. You have 5-0 in your back pocket, and you just said, let's make things interesting. Screw it. You know what? Let's
Mario,
get
you better
spicy.
be careful. You better be careful.
Oh my God! Like unbelievable.
I feel bad for those kids, man.
On the sideline saying, "What the f are we doing?" Like,
that's tough. That's tough. And to get ready for a game quick against a tough opponent,
right?
Like that's the worst thing. Mentally, going through practice, being locked in, it's just meetings, paying attention to everything that the next opponent gonna do. Like, that's gonna weigh in on those kids mentally more than anything. So we'll see how they bounce back.
It was absolutely unbelievable. Listen, we have a Monday Night Football game tonight. It's the Green Bay Packers taking on the Las Vegas Raiders in Vegas. Now, the Packers, 2-2, have won 8 straight games versus the Raiders. And the Raiders, 1-3, are coming in on a 3-game losing streak. So things have not been so hot for the Raiders. Now, right now, Vegas is the 2-point favorites entering this game, which I find to be the most interesting part of this whole thing. The over-under is 45.5 points, and the money line is Green Bay plus 110, the Las Vegas Raiders minus 130. Now, some additional information to help you place your bets. The Packers are 26-10 against the spread in road games since 2020, And the Raiders are 7-6 against the spread as home underdogs since 2020. This is going to be an interesting game. I'm actually surprised that the Raiders are the favorites entering the game on a losing streak here.
Yeah, it just shows Vegas don't trust Jordan Love yet.
Or Vegas is just, trying to stack the odds in their favor.
Yeah, because I think Jordan Love has been playing solid ball this year. There's two pretty even teams to me, They both, you don't know what their quarterback's going to give them, but they're solid. It just depends on what type of game they play tonight. So I think that's why they gave the Raiders the edge, just because they're at home. We still don't know who Green Bay is. They giving Las Vegas, I think they give them the edge just because they're at home. But I think Jordan Love's going to come out here and start stacking wins.
So who are you leaning towards?
I'm going Green Bay. I'm going Green Bay.
Okay, so you're going against the 2-point favorites. The over-under 45.5 points. You think it's going to be that high?
I don't think it's going to be that high.
I don't think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game. I don't have it going that high either at all. It's going to be interesting. I got to say, though, these Monday night games are not doing it for me.
I know.
These Thursday night games are not doing it for me. We got Sunday Night Football next week. It's the Bills and the Giants. Not doing it for me. No shade, Andrew. That's going to be an L for you. Loser.
You wish they could flex Monday night games and Thursday night games, right?
I had this conversation with Brandon, and Brandon said that he loved Thursday night games as a player, which I personally have never heard, because from all the guys that I've ever spoken to, said that it just throws their whole week out of after the game's over, you have a mini bye week, but leading up to it, it throws your whole situation out of whack. Especially if you've played on Sunday.
I loved it because, like you said, you get a mini bye, and whatever happened in that last game, if it's a loss, you only got time to watch film, you don't got time to dwell on it, think about it. You going into almost walkthroughs to get ready to play again.
Right.
Our body's going to be sore, but oh well, our body's sore the whole year. So I like it. Even if you win, you want to stack another win and, like you said, get to a long weekend, because our schedules are so restricted during the season. We get zero time. It's not like the NBA. So whenever we can have a couple of days off, I'll take that any day of the week.
Well, listen, we have some breaking news regarding Anthony Richardson. Now, we did go ahead that the team believed it was going to be a sprained AC joint. Now it is coming back that Anthony Richardson, let's go ahead and pull this up. Hold on. Anthony Richardson is seeking a second opinion from a renowned shoulder specialist, but he is expected to miss this week. And the player's still charting course and the belief is a sprained AC joint, like we said, but now it is coming out per Ian Rappaport. Let's go ahead, and that Anthony Richardson suffered a grade 3 AC joint sprain Sunday, and he's actually expected to miss a month, at least a month. So what went from a negative X-ray to a sprained AC joint belief to missing possibly just this next week has now turned into missing at least an entire month.
That
AC is a big loss for the Colts.
That AC is tough. At least he gets to get his rest and get back healthy before he get out there, because it's a marathon. Just let him just feed the ball to Jonathan Taylor. Like I said, the division's not going to run away from you. See if Taylor can, with his fresh legs, can win you some games, and they should be all right. The Colts got a solid team.
Who's their backup? Who's the backup for the Colts?
Oh, Minshew be cooking. You good. The stash. He gonna be cooking. You good to go.
They'll be all right with the stash. Yeah. I like Gardner. He's got flavor. Listen, thank you guys for joining us for this Monday edition of Paper Route for Sirius XM Faction Talk 103. If you are listening audio. If you are watching on video, thank you so much for joining us. Listen, if you're listening on Sirius XM and you want to go ahead and check out all the action that you are missing, go ahead and check out the I Am Athlete YouTube page and watch all the cool graphics, me shedding a couple of tears from my Dallas Cowboys. You can see B-Flow's fit and everything in between. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, see you guys. Bye.